What we're going to talk about today is the Georgia Department of Natural Resources Wildlife Resource Division. And specifically, this is Kaitlin Goode, and she's going to be talking a little bit more in depth about the Urban Wildlife Division and all that. So I was wondering if first you can explain to people what the Wildlife Resource Division is and what the Urban Wildlife Division is, when that started and all that.
Sure. So our Wildlife Resources Division is part of the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. We're one of 6 divisions in that department. And our division is dedicated to conserving and promoting Georgia's natural resources. So that's through fishing, hunting, and management of our wildlife management areas and public fishing areas.
Okay, right on. And so what is the urban offshoot of that as it relates to
Sure. So our urban wildlife program is almost brand new. It's about a year old, and this program is dedicated to the citizens of Atlanta. So in the metro Atlanta area, we've obviously have lots of people, but we actually have lots of wildlife too. So the urban program is helping people in Atlanta learn to live with wildlife. So depending on if you want to see more wildlife or less wildlife, we'll help you achieve that goal. So if you want to see less wildlife, we can tell you about the different attractants that might be bringing the wildlife to your backyard. If you want to see more, we can tell you what kind of plants to plant for the specific species that you want to see, stuff like that.
Yeah, and obviously our participants, since the virtual event, they're spread out all over the state and actually all over the country too. So I think like both of those resources in general will help out. You know, no one cannot be helped from.
Yeah, absolutely. There's urban wildlife, human wildlife conflict and interactions all over the country. It's definitely not just specific to Atlanta.
Going back to you and the Urban Wildlife Department, I think it'd be cool to know like what it seems like a new position. So like what drew you to it in the first place? What do you like about it? What's exciting? All that.
Every day is exciting. Every day is different. You never know what a critter did overnight that somebody's going to call and tell you about. But I grew up in the suburbs, so I definitely relate to people not being used to seeing wildlife in their backyard, or different wildlife maybe than they expected to see. Foxes, coyotes, every once in a while we'll have a bobcat. So sometimes that freaks people out a little bit, and it's nice to be able to calm them down and show them why the wildlife's there doing what they're doing. And again, every day is different, so you never know what kind of a call you're going to get.
People looking for outdoor recreation, what should they know about your division right now as it relates to the current situation going on? People want to get out, not sure if things are open maybe. Where do I go? What do I do? Like, what is the Department of Natural Resources doing right now in response to government regulations and all that?
So we are open. All of our wildlife management areas, public fishing areas, and shooting ranges are open. We do ask that the public maintain the social distancing guidelines set by Governor Kemp and the CDC. Less than 6 people, stay 6 feet apart. Those regulations that we still have in place, we definitely want to make sure we're doing our social distancing.
Do you have more like members of your department? Is it growing? Is it just like a trial thing, or? You know?
So we have, I think we've got 5 people that work for me right now. So we've got one person that all they do is education and outreach. We've got 3 people that all they do is response. And then we've got another person that's kind of a mixture of both. And so for like the response stuff, what we're doing is we're actually going and doing site visits with people, showing them why the wildlife is there, or if there's sick or injured wildlife, we'll go out and humanely euthanize those and remove them for folks. And then on the education and outreach side, we do everything from classrooms to Boy Scouts, garden clubs, Rotary clubs.
Wow.
So we're all over the place right now. It's great.
Yeah, no break for you guys during this.
No, we got off to a running start.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
And speaking of everybody being outside right now, everyone's going outside in large numbers, and they're bound to run into wildlife no matter where you are right now. And so wondering if you guys had any advice now that all these traditional entertainment venues that are closed down. Do you guys have any advice for encountering wildlife that some quick tips you might be able to, let people know about since we're all heading outside right now?
Yeah, it's the same advice that I would give under normal circumstances, and that is if you see wildlife, give it the respect and the space that it deserves. These are wild animals. Some of them can look cute and cuddly, but they will respond in a way that is for survival, for their safety and yours. You want to make sure that you do give them the space that they deserve. And if you're out running on trails, always be aware of your surroundings. That's something that goes without, wildlife being present or not. If you run with headphones in, I always recommend people only do one earbud. That way you can hear out of the other ear and you're aware of your surroundings. I know it's hard to,
it's great
some people
advice
get
for
really into the zone.
On roads too, or anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a universal thing that I think people should follow. But for wildlife, you definitely want to know where they are, and they want to know where you are.
And there's a lot of people who join this challenge specifically because they wanted to give back. And I think people would want to know, if they enjoy, what you guys are doing, what they can do to help, one, conservation efforts in general in Georgia, and two, if they want to eventually help out your department.
So we do have volunteer opportunities. If you can't give financially, if you want to give some of your time, you can go to our website and become a volunteer and get alerted to volunteer opportunities. If you can contribute financially, a great way to do it is buying a hunting or fishing license. All of that money goes towards our department. Or you can get a license plate. We've got the Conserve Wildlife license plate, our fishing license plate, and our hunting license plate. So you can pick your favorite one and promote us that way.
Okay, awesome. I think a good idea would be I'll include I don't know where it's going to be above the video, below the video. I'll add a link.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think that's all I have right now, and I appreciate your time. Is there anything else you have to add, or is that?
No, I mean, if people need to get in touch with us, we have a 1-800 number that they can call, and if they have questions, people on the other line will be able to direct them where they need to go if they can't answer them. But I don't know if that's something that you want to include in the notes too, because people tend to have questions about wildlife in their backyard. So that's a good number.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. I think everyone's going to really appreciate this. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.